but keeps getting bumped everywhere. He got in a lot of trouble in Michigan but he said he didn't do it. I thought he was really wrong at the 49ers because he won all the championships, but they wanted the Super Bowl again. But it's like.
Order the California Commission on Disability Access, Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. So I'd like to start off with having, I believe it's Presley, to review the meeting protocols.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. This is Presley. This full commission meeting will be on Zoom via teleconference and held at the Division of State Architect, Los Angeles Regional Office, located at 355 South Grand Avenue, Suite 2100 in Los Angeles, California, 90071. Virtual attendees are in compliance with the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act. Please remember to specify the following. If a state body member attends a meeting via teleconference from a remote location, they must disclose any other individuals 18 years or older present in the room, as well as their relationship with them. The visual appearance of a member of the state body on camera may cease only when the appearance would be technologically impracticable. Public comment on matters not on the agenda is taken at the beginning of the meeting. Public comment on matters on the agenda will be heard as the Commission takes up agenda items for discussion. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Speakers who utilize translators to make public comment will be allotted no more than 6 minutes unless they utilize simultaneous translation equipment. CCDA is precluded from discussing matters not on the agenda. However, CCDA members may ask questions for clarification purposes. This meeting is being captioned and recorded. To assist in this effort, please state your first and last name each time you speak and speak loud and clear. The Stream Text Live captioning link has been included in the chat for your use, and staff can provide the link when asked. Public participants can use the raise hand function to alert the committee of when they would like to speak. And we will also give an opportunity for public who have called into the meeting at which they can unmute themselves. If you are attending this meeting via teleconference, please press *6 on your keypad to mute or unmute yourself. If you would like to alert CCDA staff, press 9 to telephonically raise your hand and the staff will call on you. To use the raise hand function, please follow these steps. Using Zoom via web browser, first click on the icon labeled Reactions in the toolbar on the bottom center of your screen. After clicking Reactions, a new window will show on your screen. At the bottom right of the screen, there will be a button labeled Raise Hand. Using Zoom via mobile device, click on the 3 sideways dots labeled More. The More option is in the toolbar on the bottom right corner of the screen. After clicking More, a new window will pop up at the bottom of your screen. Press Raise Hand. Please remember to mute yourself if you are not speaking in order to reduce noise. If you are having technical issues throughout the meeting and need assistance, please use the chat function to alert the CCDA staff or email ccda@dgs.ca.gov. If you are unable to utilize the chat function to alert the CCDA staff, please unmute yourself and request for permission to speak. If there are technical issues that impact the proceeding of the meeting, the body will take the following procedures. Stay calm and reassure. We will communicate to all participants that technical issues have occurred and the CCDA staff is working to resolve them. Backup communication, there will be alternative messaging to all participants, a mass email communication from the CCDA staff or the email ccda@dgs.ca.gov. Attempt a technical reboot. CCDA staff will attempt to resolve technical issues. If the technical issues persist and compromise the meeting purpose, the meeting will be adjourned and may be rescheduled if necessary. With this, I will pass it back to you, Chair Commissioner Downey.
Thank you, Presley. We'll continue with agenda item number 1, the call to order and welcome. So we're up to, it's back to you, Presley, for you to take roll.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. I will start with roll. Commissioner Downey.
Present.
Commissioner Holloway.
Present.
Commissioner Dillard. Commissioner Dillard. Commissioner Dr. Elhessan.
Present.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Leon Vasquez.
I just unmuted her.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Commissioner Jackson. Oh, wow. She is on the phone. Okay. And then Commissioner Leon Vasquez. Commissioner Lillibridge.
Present.
Commissioner Dr. Profasa. Commissioner Dr. Profasa.
Okay.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Present.
Commissioner Shapiro.
Present.
Commissioner Claire.
Present.
Commissioner Conway.
Present.
Okay, and with that, roll call has been taken. I will pass it back to you, Chair Commissioner Downey. We do have quorum.
Thank you, Presley. Are there any other commissioners in the meeting? Very much.
Chair, this is Commissioner Conlon. I just wanted to share with you, I have a few urgent matters today and may step out of the meeting. So if so, I will be able to do so without interrupting, but I will announce it both for the public and for the record. So I apologize in advance if that happens.
Thank you. So are there any members of the public that would like to identify themselves? First, are there any members of the public here in person?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no public attendees here in person.
Is anybody, any members of the public joining us virtually that would like to identify themselves?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
So at this time, I'd like to, those that can, that stand, salute and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Chair, this is Commissioner Conway again. I apologize. I just got the text message. I was hoping we should go to your tie anyway. Well, I do have a flag on that would help.
Okay.
I'll be back as soon as I can. There we go. See that would help.
I looked around and then the flag too. Oh wait, it's a little one on the table.
Our next item is the review of the prior full commission hearing meeting minutes from June 26th. That is a action. Let's see. Is Commissioner Conway a voting member? No. Okay, so we can see. So yes, it's time for the approval of the June 26th meeting minutes. And first, I'd like to ask if there are any questions, any corrections requested of members of the commission. Anybody here, any commissioners here in person that have a correction to suggest? Hearing none, are there any members, any commission members joining us virtually that would like to point out a correction to be made?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication in the chat of any
Okay.
commissioner.
Okay, then are there any comments from commissioners joining us here in person? Hearing none, joining us virtually.
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Okay, and then any comments from members of the public joining us in person? I presume we have nobody else that's joined.
No. Yeah, still no in person.
And then anybody that's joined us virtually that would like to make a comment on the June 26th meeting minutes. Okay, hearing none, could I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the June 26th meeting minutes of the board.
I'm sorry, could you identify yourself?
This is Commissioner Villabridge.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
Commissioner Shapiro, second.
Thank you. I think that means, Presley, we need to have you take another, roll call vote.
Yes, thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. This is Presley. I will start with the vote. Commissioner Downey. Commissioner Holloway.
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Alhesson.
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Lillibridge.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Aye.
Commissioner Shapiro.
Aye.
Okay, Chair Commissioner Downey, all CCA commissioners and committee members have voted. The motion will carry. I will pass it back to you.
Thank you, Presley. For now, it's time for, if there are no further comments on that, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, which is comments from the public on items not on the agenda. Again, these comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you're, unless you're speaking through translation, and in which case it's limited to 6 minutes unless it's simultaneous translation. So, any comments from members of the public? Here's, person,
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no people in person I'd like to speak.
okay, have any members of the public joined us virtually that would like to speak to this?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
So that brings us to item number 4, CCDA officer elections. And for that, we are to annually vote on the chair and vice chair of the commission. And these 2 positions must be filled by members of the commission, and the chairperson should be a person with a disability, and the vice chair is to be a member of the business community. So, we'll start with nomination of chair, and I'll put my name in to nominate myself to remain chair of the California Commission on Disability Access. Are there any other nominations?
This is Vice Chair Holloway. I would like to close nominations for chair.
Any comments on that? Okay, then let's see. Sorry, just going through my notes here. So if there are no further comments on the nomination for chair, you can move on to, do we need to vote? Yeah, okay, we'll move on to nominations for vice chair. So for that, I'd like to nominate our current vice chair, who's expressed his willingness to continue on, Commissioner Brian Holloway.
This is Commissioner Shapiro. I move that nominations be closed and the chair and vice chair indicated be elected to their respective positions.
Okay. Okay, so I believe then I need to turn it over. The first vote is for chair, and I'll need to turn that over to our current vice chair, Brian Holloway, Commissioner Holloway, for him to lead this part of the agenda.
Okay, so
I need public comments first. Are any members, any comments from members of the public that are joining us in person?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no in-person attendees.
Any comments from members of the public joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
Now I believe we can turn it over to Vice Chair Brian Holloway.
Okay, so what I would like to do is, have a roll call for the motions that were made for chair, the motion that was made for chair, and I believe there were no comments from the public or any of the commissioners in person or virtually, and so do we need a roll call for this? We do, okay, so, with that, Presley, would you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Holloway. I will start the roll. Commissioner Holloway,
Aye.
Commissioner Downey,
Aye.
Commissioner Dillard,
Aye.
Commissioner Elhessen,
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson,
Aye.
Commissioner Lillibridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Shapiro.
Aye.
Okay, and with that, Commissioner Holloway, all the votes have been counted and the motion will carry. I will pass it back to you.
Actually, Chair Dodd. Yeah. Over this workload and fun commission, and so I would like to turn the gavel back over to Chair Downey.
Thank you, Vice Chair Holloway. And it's a pleasure to have an opportunity to continue serving as chair of this commission by honor and pleasure. So at this point, it's time that we turn it back to Presley for a roll call vote for the election of our vice chair.
Okay, thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. I will start with the votes. Commissioner Downey,
Aye.
Commissioner Holloway, Commissioner Elhessen, Dr. Elhessen,
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson,
Aye.
Commissioner Lillibridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Profasa, Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Shapiro. Okay, I will pass it back to you, Chair Commissioner Downey. All the CCA commissioners have voted and the motion will carry.
Thank you.
I did not hear my name mentioned. This is Commissioner Dillard.
My apologies, Commissioner Dillard. Commissioner Dillard?
Aye.
Okay, sorry about that. And with that, all the commissioner votes have been counted.
Thank you, Presley, and congratulations, Vice Chair Brian Holloway. I know you were late, but I let him know on the way in that if he failed to get reelected, his return flight home was on him. Pressure's off. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for not sending me home on my own time.
Okay, so our next agenda item is number 5, action on the 2025 meeting agenda. So I presume everybody's had a chance to review the proposed calendar for 2025. So are there any comments from the members of the commission that are here in person? Hearing none, are there any comments from any commissioners that are joining us virtually on the 2025 proposed calendar?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
Are any comments from members of the public on the proposed 2025 CCDA meeting calendar? Any comments from members of the public that are joining us in person?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there's no people in person.
Okay. Any comments from members of the public that have joined us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
If there are no further comments, it's time for yet another roll call vote. So I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. I will start the roll call vote for the 2025 calendar. Commissioner Downey,
Aye.
Commissioner Holloway,
Aye.
Commissioner Dillard,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Alhesson,
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson,
Aye.
Commissioner Lillibridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Shapiro.
Aye.
Okay, and with that, Chair Commissioner Downey, all CCA commissioners' votes have been counted and the motion will carry. I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you for the comments. We'll move on to agenda item number 6. And that's a discussion of commissioner tributes. And then I'll turn that over to our executive director, Justin Brawley.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. This is April. And at the last meeting of each year, we highlight a commissioner who has made distinctive contributions to the community as well as our commission. And we wanted to acknowledge Commissioner Drake Dillard for his ability to help us get the accessible parking campaign to the finish line. We've got our toolkits out into the community, and he was a big part of helping get those finished and edited and out into the community. Also, we want to acknowledge his commitment to equity. He works a lot with young people, helping them, be prepared for college and careers. He's very active in the AIA and is really committed to making sure that, through his work, that as an architect and as a community leader, that everybody's, voice is heard. He shared a story with me recently about how he advocated to make sure that the renderings and pictures of people in the designs of his projects, have people with disabilities in them and people of different races and cultures in them and genders. And he's very much instrumental in the Crenshaw District revitalization projects. I actually had a chance to go to, I'll talk a little bit about this later, but I had a chance to do a ride along with him while he showed me a lot of the projects he's been working on connected to Destination Crenshaw. And so we wanted to acknowledge him today. He did interview for a video. Unfortunately, we're not able to show the video today, but we are going to make sure that we post it on our social media pages and also make sure that we touch on it in our first meeting of next year. And so we just want to thank Commissioner Dillard for all his community contributions. And we just want to, and then I'll pass it back to Chair Commissioner Downey, if you want to say anything and open the floor up.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you, Commissioner Drake Dillard, for your service. It's been a pleasure to have you join us and for us to get a chance to know you and work with you. You had a really strong presence in all your efforts with the commission and here in the Los Angeles area through your professional work and in the community is greatly appreciated. So it's truly an honor and a real delight to have you with us as a commissioner with the CCDA. So I'd like to open it up to other commissioners that have any comment regarding this agenda item. So any commissioners joining us here in person?
This is Commissioner Lillibridge, and I'll just chime in to say that it has been a great privilege and quite fun actually to work with Commissioner Dillard. We don't get to see each other as often as we used to these days, but it's been great having him on the commission. So I appreciate all his work.
Commissioner Holloway, I just want to say congratulations to Commissioner Dillard and thank you again for all of your hard work you put forward to not only the commission, but to the community as well. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Shapiro. I also want to thank you for the hard work and to say that I know many people contributed, but the parking lot checklist and items for both property folk and for contractors is really an amazing piece of work. And I know that you made an invaluable contribution to that, and I think it's going to make a real difference. So thank you so much for your contributions.
Like somebody's calling in their comments.
Fine jar.
So with that, are there any comments from members of the commission that are joining us virtually?
This is Commissioner Elhesson, and I also would like to extend my congratulations to Commissioner Dillard and share the same sentiments as other commissioner statements. I'm also would like to personally connect with you in regards to the work you do with youth, because that's always been my passion. So I look forward to continue working with you as a commissioner. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Jacqueline Jackson, and I would like to congratulate Commissioner Dillard. And he's just an awesome man, and he's done so much for the community and for our commission, and for me personally. He helps when he sees me in restaurants by myself. He assists me to make sure I am able to get everything ordered and taken care of. So you're an awesome person. You're very much deserving of this accommodation.
Oh, can I say something now?
That's my comment. Comment, of course. Comments from members of the public that are joining us here in person. No members of the public are here, in which case we'll go to members of the public that might have joined us virtually.
Chair Commissioner, be no other commissioners in the chat.
Okay, and before you, this is Chair Commissioner Downey. Before you turn the floor over to Commissioner Dillard, I would like to add that my real appreciation for your leadership on the checklist committee. It could be a thankless job. People think it is a checklist. How hard can it be? It's not so easy. So we really greatly appreciate your diligence, your persistence, and I'm hoping for great results. And my dream has always been that our top 10 complaints, legal complaints that we log in, move from being things you can see and as a drive-by to someone actually have to open the door and go into the business. So here's hoping we'll have some effect towards that goal. So now, finally, it's off to you, Commissioner Dillard.
Well, thank you. I am completely caught off guard. I did not know this was going down. I'm very honored. I'm also very happy that I'm on this call. I am on my way to Baltimore to a NOMA conference, which is being held for the next 4 days. So I'm going to have to leave early, but I said, let me call in and just at least start the meeting. And I'm so happy I did. I didn't know this was going to happen. But thank you for all the comments. I really appreciate that. I think I just try to be a good citizen and a good person and try to help as much as I can. I think as architects, we have a lot to give to the community. We have great people who are representing us as architects, people like Ida, for example. And so we just try to play our part. But thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Dillard. So with that, if there are no further comments, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, which is a discussion and a review of our bylaw revisions. And this is an action item.
Yes.
So I'll turn it over to our Executive Director, April Dawson-Roll.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. Every 2 years, the Executive Committee reviews the bylaws and recommends edits to be put forward to the full commission. And over the past year, the Executive Committee, as well as our legal counsel and CCDA staff, have worked on bylaw revisions. Everyone has a copy of those in your packet, so hopefully you had a chance to review those. I did review the proposed changes to the executive committee 2 weeks ago at their meeting, and there were no concerns from the executive committee about putting, and the recommendation was to put it forward for a vote today. I'm going to do a high level of what the changes encompass. I'm not going to go line by line, but if anyone wants me to reference a certain page, I certainly can do that. I want to emphasize that the changes proposed today have no fundamental change on how we do business or our purview. Doesn't say we can't do those kinds of things. That what we did was we consolidated sections that repeated information. We also updated the California code section numbers that are referenced, because since the last review of the bylaws were subject to some different, the code numbers changed. We also added sections that better describe our purview. So our prior bylaws that we're currently under, they didn't say anything about describing what the committees actually do, or the ex officio public member or public stakeholder definition roles. And we also added an appendix at the end to avoid to avoid having to revise the bylaws every single time that our statutes changed. And so those are that's the meat of what we have done. We believe that this draft, is cleaner and allows us to, more accurately state what we do. And again, I know it looks like there's a lot of substantive changes, but it doesn't fundamentally alter or make substantive changes. All of the sections that add sections are to clarify what we actually are already doing. And so with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. I know some people have asked about, well, what if we want to propose, more substantive changes and things like that. And we discussed that at the executive committee level, and there was a sense that since the strategic plan is coming up, that's a really good time to talk about things like changing the name of the checklist committee, for example, or other committees, and that we just need to make sure that we clean up our bylaws and get them to a place to where they're accurate to what we do, so that when we do our strategic plan in 2025, then we can go back. It'll be almost time again to review the bylaws again and make some of those other, maybe more visionary changes. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Executive Director Dawson-Rawlings. We appreciate those updates and the work on members of the staff and the legal advisors. So thanks for the effort to make it all more current. And it's being that has been work that's happened over the past year. I would like to reiterate the executive committee's concern that we move forward, get the bylaws enacted, adopted, and then as was suggested by our executive director, then sort of focus on changes that might evolve that come out of the strategic plan. So hopeful that we can move this along. So are there any comments from members of the commission that are here in person on this agenda item?
This is Commissioner Shapiro. I do have one question, if I may. Under the standing ad hoc and subcommittees, that's part 8. 8.2.1.2 on the legislative committee. It says legislative committee was created to discuss disability access related legislation and policy matters. It functions as an advisory body offering recommendations to its parent/decision-making body, the commission. But my understanding from previous conversations is that we neither advocate nor take positions. And so I'm at a little bit of a loss to know what recommendations the legislative committee is supposed to be offering the commission. That we review the legislation to stay on top of what's moving through the legislature is in and of itself very valuable. But that portion of the duty talking about offering recommendations when we neither advocate nor take positions, I find confusing as to what that means and why we have that.
Thank you, Commissioner Shapiro. the intent behind that was to kind of talk about how one of the things that we've been asked to do in the legislative committee is even though we don't take positions or advocate, we can still give recommendations to the legislature when asked about how the proposed legislation that's on the docket that we're discussing will affect the disability community, and we've been told that that's still a very valuable role that the legislative committee plays. So that's why we kept the word recommendation, because we wanted to make sure that even though we don't take those positions, we can still talk about the impact of what it would have on our stakeholders, and that could still be a powerful voice. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Downey, are there any other comments from members of the commission that are here in person?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no other people in person that would like to speak on this item.
Okay. Are there any commission members that are joining us virtually that would like to address this agenda item?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Oh, sorry, this is Commissioner Elhesson. I didn't hit my mute button fast enough.
My
I just
fault.
have a quick comment. So my understanding is that we can also, when you say write letters of support, April, that means that if something comes up or something new comes up, we can, as a commission, show support for it, right?
We actually, thank you, Commissioner Dr. Elhesson. This is April. So we don't take positions of support or rejection on legislation. What we do is the staff internally works with our Office of Legislative Affairs, and we have a docket of bills that also gets reviewed at the Legislative Committee. And we do bill tracking, and we do bill analysis. And in the bill analysis, we put at the staff level, like the impact that it would have on stakeholders to educate the legislature, but we don't take, we as a commission can't take support positions or denial or rejection positions. Like the bill letters that we write at the staff level, that goes to up to DGS, and then DGS decides so anytime the commission writes like a bill analysis at the staff level, then DGS decides how to send that on and whether to adopt as DGS the support or I want to say rejection, but that's the option. Support or denial. Opposition. Thank you. Yes.
I see.
And
Okay.
this is Commissioner, oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, thank you for the clarification.
Welcome.
Commissioner Ramirez, did you have a comment?
Yes, thank you. So I really wanted to follow up on that because I'm not necessarily familiar with DGS protocol when we do send any type of recommendations or comments or observations to their pipeline. And so I was wondering if in order for us to be able to really be effective in the work that we do, if we can have some clarification of what are the parameters that we're working with so that when we do take the time to make those recommendations or observations or whatever the language is going to be moving forward for this, that we have some understanding in it so that we can be as effective in the work that we're doing, making sure that it is successfully transmitted, or if that's what the intent of the commission was. April, can we get some clarification from DGS on their protocols when we do take that opportunity to send information to them for their preview? What are their parameters so that we understand what we're working with?
This is April. Mallory, are you on the line? I was going to defer to Mallory to answer that. Is our legislative consultant here yet? If not, Mallory Michael, our legislative consultant, she'll be doing a presentation later on the legislative session, and she can answer your questions. Mallory, I think you're here. Can you answer a little bit about our process? I'm happy to do it, but if you're here, I can. She may be on. You're on mute. Let me give her a second. Okay, I think she may be on mute, but we can go, what we can do is, we can go over that, after the break, she'll be coming back on and she'll be talking about the legislative session. And one of the things I asked her to do was to answer those types of questions. So if that's okay, we can have a better discussion about that then, and it can be more robust then.
She's having audio problems.
She's having audio problems. But we can answer that question when she is able to come back on.
And
But
this
what
is Mr. Ramirez. Yes, that would be fine. Thank you. Yes, because that was one of the things that I just was wondering about our committees, the actual impact that they can have. I know that we're very, very fortunate to have an opportunity to relay messages, but I just wanted to really better understand the mechanism that we had to work with.
So I'll just share really quickly, and then we can move on, and then Valerie can reinforce this later, is that CCDA, because we are nested within an executive branch entity, we're not allowed to take support or opposition positions on bills. And anytime a commissioner or a staff member wants to have any connection to the legislature, like sometimes the legislator will request a meeting with us to ask about an impact that a bill might have on their constituent, like it might be a business owner who's being sued and they want to know, how can we help them? Then we coordinate that communication through the Office of Legislative Affairs. So everything that we do with regard to the legislature has to go through that, and they set up the meeting and then we talk with them, but we don't take official support or opposition positions. But we can still give the impact of what the bill might have on our communities of interest. But Mallory can answer any of those other questions when she comes on after the break.
Thank you. This is Chair Commissioner Downey. Are there any other comments from members of the commission that have joined us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication in the chat.
Are there any comments on this agenda item from members of the public that have joined us in person?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are still no in-person attendees.
Are there any comments from members of the public that have joined us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Thank you. Then with that, I need to ask for a motion to approve our amended bylaws. Have a motion to approve?
Commissioner Shapiro moves adoption of the amended bylaws as
Commissioner Hesson, second.
Thank you. With that, I'll turn it over to Presley for a roll call vote of Bruce.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. This is Presley. I will start the roll call vote for the bylaw revision. Commissioner Downey?
Aye.
Commissioner Holloway?
Aye.
Commissioner Dillard?
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. L. Hesson?
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lillibridge? Commissioner Lillibridge?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Ramirez?
Aye.
Commissioner Shapiro?
aye.
Okay, Chair Commissioner Downey, all CCA commissioners have voted. The motion carries. I will pass it back to you.
So with that, we'll move on to item number 9. Oh, sorry, agenda item number 8. Update and discussion of CCDA outreach projects. And for that, we'll turn it back over to our Executive Director, April Dawson-Law.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. This is April. I just want to talk a little bit about how CCDA is living our mission in the community. We have an educational webinar coming up on October 29th at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. We are partnering with the Georgia Silk, and we are going to be watching a short video about how the ADA was passed that the Georgia Silk produced. And our very own Commissioner Dr. L. Hesson will be the moderator, and we're going to have a few panelists who participated in actions that helped to bring about the ADA, such as the Capitol Crawl. we are really excited that we're going to be doing this. We're going to show the video on Zoom, and then we're going to, after the screening of the video, we're going to have the moderated panel by Commissioner Dr. Hessen and our panelists. And it's going to have ASL and captioning, and we also have language access available upon request. You can register for the webinar on our website. And again, it's October 29th at 10:30 a.m. We also finished a successful year of partnering with the Pacific ADA Center. We did a series of webinar trainings where we covered the concepts of, Title III of the ADA, and under that, effective communication, maintaining acceptable features, customer service. Our most recent webinar covered holiday hospitality, where we focused on the restaurant and retail industries and how, while they're starting to plan for the busy holiday season, how they can think about training their staff and making sure that they have a point person for accommodation requests, and talking about what reasonable modifications mean, and what that, and about service animals. And those were very popular. And so the Pacific ADA has indicated an interest in partnering with us again in 2025 for more webinars. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also really excited to share that we are in the midst of the planning of our first of a series of 10 videos. We're going to start with 10 videos where we're going to be introducing the world to CCDA in video form. We're also going to have a really fun Mythbuster series. So we're going to have you might see some of you may be called to be actors, maybe some staff, and then also some of our public members, where we're going to have a Mythbuster series, where it's going to be kind of a fun pretend show about how we bust myths about access and business. So we're really excited about doing that, and the Office of Public Affairs is helping us. And so we just finished the storyboard for the first video, and we're planning the shooting schedule next. The first video will be sort of just the intro. We're also going to make sure that we cover, again, some of the things like effective communication, like I mentioned before, maintaining accessible features, reasonable modifications, service animals, as well as some of accessible parking campaign concepts as well. Also, I wanted to share that the Contractor State License Board put out information about our toolkit on their website, so that's now available on their website. They also put out a newsletter about CCDA and our partnership with them. And we've talked about the potential of doing a short video that they would help produce, that would be for contractors and the construction industry about accessible parking on their website as well. And so that's still in discussion. We're starting with the press releases first, and then moving on to that. And then the accessible parking toolkit is out. So you get it on our website, or we have physical copies that we can send to you. And they are also in the process of being translated to other languages. We were able to get some assistance from DGS to help us with the renderings, to make sure we're translating the renderings properly into the other languages, and then putting them back into the paper. And so once we finish the graphic design for that, they'll be translated into other languages as well. So that's how we're really living our mission out in the community. We're doing a lot of great work, and I hope you can all join us for the webinar on October 29th at 10:30 on Zoom. And if you need to sign up, you can go to our website and sign up, or our Facebook page. And please remember to like our Facebook page, and also our YouTube channel has all of our trainings and webinars and listening forms and meeting recordings. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. A lot of exciting things and developments and surprises in there. So I'm really excited to hear about the video coming up. So that's great to have that motion. And I personally regret that I'm not going to be able to join in the session on the 29th for the movie. And I think that's an important thing to review. And I'm always surprised when I address students today, college students, who at this age, they're born after ADA was passed. And it's like it just magically was there and has always been there. It's not a battle. And what are you talking about? So I think it's important as we, on one hand, it's well over 30 years since the passage, yet there's so much more work to do, and yet some think it's all done, automatic stuff. So it's important thing to be aware of and be reminded of the hard work that was done for the passage of ADA and our ongoing mission and challenge to comply with the promise of that legislation. So sorry I can't be part of that, but I appreciate Dr. Al-Hassan's leadership in that panel and look forward to hearing great things and hope to catch it after the fact. So any other comments from members of the commission that are here in person?
This is Commissioner Lillibridge. I'm excited about these videos. Obviously, we're living in an Instagram, YouTube era, and videos are capturing people's attention nowadays. So I think that's a great media for us to get involved in. And if you want me to be an actor, I'll be an actor.
We have our first one.
I'm a Hambo.
This is Commissioner El-Hassan. I just want to put it out to all our commissioners to actually put it on your links. We put it on LinkedIn page, but also to spread the word to get it out to the community as well as business owners in regards to the upcoming webinar. And I just want to reiterate what Commissioner Chair Downey said, that our youth really don't understand the importance and really lack advocacy as they transition into their professional careers on how the ADA can and does support them. So I'm excited, and hopefully that generations to come will learn and pass the message on. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from members of the commission that are here in person? Any comments from members of the commission that are joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Thank you. With that, we'll turn it to any comments from members of the public on this agenda item. And first from those that are joining us here in person. Hearing none, are there any comments from members of the public that are joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Thank you. Before we move on, I'll just add a comment building off of what Commissioner Lillibridge had to say. Maybe it's maybe we should consider the means by which to sort of open it up to members of the public to do their own videos and share them through about disability access. It might be a way to get youth involved and sort of bring that. So anyway, just something. Maybe there's some mechanisms for us to sponsor that. So if there are no further comments, we'll move on to agenda item number 9, Executive Director Financial Reports. With that, we'll turn it back over to our Executive Director, April Dawson-Rollins.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. This is April. This is the part of the meeting where I, the executive director, give some highlights about what's going on operationally as well as financially for the organization. I wanted to share first some program highlights. In July, we conducted a listening forum in Orange County for the business and disability community. And that forum included representatives from the Area Center for Independent Living, which is the Dale McIntosh Center, as well as chambers of commerce, such as the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce. We had a panel discussion, and Commissioner Claire gave us training on Title III of the ADA and some points that businesses need to know about access, and talked about the CAS program. We also had a certified access specialist from the Orange County area on the panel as well. And we did make some good connections. I've already spoken about the Pacific ADA webinars. I was also very proud in July to represent CCDA at a disability pride event at the governor's office. So the governor's office invited several appointees whose commissions and boards and departments have a disability access focus. I was very proud to be asked to give a speech there. So I talked about my own life experience and what disability pride and access means to me, and got to talk about highlighting the work that CCDA does to promote business access. And I also made some really good connections with other departments and appointees who wanted to learn more about what CCDA is all about. So that made me feel very proud to be there. I also attended the Youth Leadership Forum luncheon with Operations Manager Phil McFall, as well as 2 deputy directors from DGS, for Deputy Director Jameson and Deputy Director Dixon. And this kind of goes back to the conversation we were just having about our youth, needing to recognize their own power and understanding what the ADA is all about. And when I was in high school, I participated in the Youth Leadership Forum, which is a leadership forum for young people with disabilities to learn about the Americans with Disabilities Act and learn how they could be their own self-advocate, learn about jobs, and learn about careers and resources for school or other parts of their life. And it made a big impact on me. And so it was great to have a CCDA table at this event. We're hoping that in the future we can sponsor the event and also get some, there's businesses that attend that event as well, and attend YLF individual events for the youth as well. So it's great to connect with them through this as well. I alluded to this earlier that Commissioner Dillard hosted me for a day, and he picked me up at LAX and we spent the day together in his car, and he showed me all around the city of LA, the Crenshaw district and Destination Crenshaw. And he and I also, he introduced me to a local business owner, Greg Doolin, who is a soul food restaurant owner. And he used access improvement dollars to make his make access upgrades to his restaurant on Crenshaw Boulevard. And it's a really nice sit-down restaurant on Crenshaw Boulevard, fully accessible. And so that just shows, what can happen when you get support to invest in your business with those dollars, and how it's a real anchor for the community there. So it was great to meet him and learn all about his family business and the challenges that can happen, challenges and opportunities around access. I also presented to the California Contractor State License Board board meeting about our accessible parking campaign, and they're really excited to partner with us on the outreach. I also wanted to share that we still have 1 vacancy on the CCDA representing the interests of people with disabilities, and the appointment authority is the Senate Rules Committee. We also have Commissioner Leon Vasquez. She's still serving her term. And just awaiting confirmation of the reappointment process on that end. I want to share a little bit now. I'm going to move into our financial highlights, and I was given constructive feedback that I need to go a little bit slower for the capture and ASL on the money. So I will on the numbers. So I promise I will. We continue to meet with our budget and contracts representatives from DGS monthly. I wanted to share also that the 2024-2025 approved budget shifted our funding for CCDA from the general fund to the disability access account. This actually helps because in tough budget years when the general fund is at risk, it helps to protect us to be not in the general fund. So the disability access account, it doesn't change anything about how we do our business or anything like that. It just changes the coding on the back end of how we bill things, but it doesn't change. And so it's just a less volatile place to be operating from. And it doesn't make any changes to our high frequency litigant fund, which comes from the court fees from high frequency litigants when they file. And I also wanted to share that it takes about 2 years for agencies to renew their lease, and our lease will be up in 2 years. So we are regularly meeting with our real estate services division. We intend to stay in our current location, but obviously we live our mission throughout the state. But that's just where our people are based, but we can go anywhere and everywhere. And we're also working on upgrading our conference room with some Teams equipment that will allow CCDA to conduct hybrid meetings with stakeholders more efficiently. So that'll reach out to our equity goal of reaching out to people who can't necessarily, you know, travel to Sacramento, or we may not always be able to travel to them if they're in like a really rural area. And it'll also allow us to be more efficient with our meetings. And as usual, I always share the meetings that I've attended. I won't go through each one, but I always want to be transparent about who I'm meeting with. So I always list my meetings publicly. And now I'm going to go slow and move on to the financial. And at the full commission meetings, I always give a very high level summary. At the executive committee level, I tend to drill down a little bit deeper. So if you want me to go back and talk about anything specific, I'm happy to do that. And if I need to get the answer for you, if I don't have the answer, I'll be happy to give it to you. So our total budget authority, and by the way, on the screen is just a picture of a snapshot of our financial statement, and I will just be giving the high level that you can extrapolate from that financial statement. Our total budget authority, which includes both of the funds I talked about, our general operating that comes from the disability access account and our high frequency litigant fund, which we use for special projects, is $2,504,000. It's important to remember, I'll talk about the high frequency litigant fund separately. I'm going to talk about each fund separately to make it easier. But our total operating dollars from the disability access account is $1,562,000. And as of Q4 of last fiscal year, the last quarter of the last fiscal year, we spent $1,026,520. And in terms of the 002, the fund that we call internally 002, but it's the high frequency litigant fund, as of Q4, we had $942,000, and that is over. It's important to remember that unlike our operating, it's over several different, several different pots of money that we get every year, and we have about 2 years to spend each different pot. So there's 3 pots in there. So that $942,000 is 3 years worth of pots of money. As of Q4, of that $942,000, we spent $297,339. However, what I can tell you, and this will be reflected in future meetings, is we're on track. We're spending down that money very responsibly, but also very efficiently now. And so you're going to see, even though it just showed just a third of it was spent last year, there's more that's being spent, and quite a bit of it is being spent. And it's being spent on our language access, our translations, and our listening. So we're on track to completely spend the majority of this money down, and you'll see that in future reports. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. That's a very high level view of the financials, and happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Downey, thank you for that report. Are there any comments from members of the commission that are here in person?
This is Commissioner Woolridge. You'll have to remind me, April, is this full accounting through the end of 23-24, or are we still waiting for additional?
It's the Q4, which is April, June, and July of 2024. Yes.
So it is through the end of the fiscal year.
Yes, yes.
By Sheriff Holloway. Again, I am impressed with how much hard work is accomplished by our staff and what great good this organization does for the budget that we have. Every year, I'm just astonished how much gets done with relative to state government, a pretty small budget, but amazing stuff you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the staff.
Thank you, staff.
This is Chair Commissioner Downey. I'd like to reiterate that as well, with the added notion that it seems like it's sort of getting up to speed and getting some momentum. It's a bit like a flywheel. It seems like there's going to be a lot happening coming out with all that we've heard with your updates. So it's exciting about where we've been, but more so about where we're headed. Thanks for all that.
Thank you.
Any other comments from members of the commission, either here in person or joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Okay. Are there any comments on that agenda item from members of the public that are joining us here in person? Hearing none, are there any comments from members of the public that are joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further comments, then we'll move on to agenda item number 10, which is discussion on of the California Business Properties Association. There's a break.
Yes.
Oh,
Quick 20-minute break, is that good? Cause he's not
Sorry, I saw
online.
like 20 points.
I forgot, sorry.
Cool. Or, okay, with that, we'll take a break. How long is this break?
20 minutes or? Is 20 minutes okay? Is that okay?
Okay. 20-minute break, so that means we'll be back here.
11:30 or so. Yeah.
Let's be back at 11:30. Continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're still going to schedule it.
Back to order, and the order of business first. Just want to report that Commissioner Conway has returned.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, so just a note for the record. Then moving on from that, it's time for agenda item number 10, which is a discussion of the California Business Properties Association. And to introduce this item, turn it over to our CCDA staff, Phil McFall.
Yes,
Okay.
Phil is going to the front of the room to say something. He's going to.
Morning, everybody. My name is Phil McFall. I'm the operations manager here with California Commission on Disability Access. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Matthew Hargrove. Matthew Hargrove has worked in and around the California State Capitol since 1992. In December 2021, he was named the president and CEO of the California Business Properties Association, CBPA. Hargrove replaced the retiring Rex Esheim after Time's 37 years of service. Hargrove worked for over 15 years as CBPA's Senior Vice President of Government Affairs, managing all aspects of the government. Managing all aspects of the organization's governmental affairs program, including legislative and political issues in the state capitol, as well as responding to the actions of the state and federal agencies that have regulatory oversight on issues affecting the industry. He also managed CPBA's external communications and legislative grassroots advocacy programs. Hargrove joined CBPA with more than 15 years of experience in political, local government, legislative, and regulatory arenas in both California and Washington, D.C. Prior to joining CBPA, Hargrove worked for 15 years in the public sector, including positions as a key staff member for State Assembly Member Brooks Firestone on statewide and congressional campaigns, and with the University of California State Governmental Relations Office. He spent 8 years just prior to joining the CPBA as Director of the Government Relations and Advocacy Programs at the University of California, Davis, his alma mater. At UC Davis, Hargrove managed all aspects of the campus legislative and advocacy programs, which covered a wide range of issues including land use planning, construction financing, labor, and environmental issues during a period of unprecedented growth. Hargrove launched the campus grassroots advocacy program that advanced issues at all levels of the government. In 2003, Hargrove received national recognition from the National Association of Land Grant Colleges and Universities for his innovation and accomplishments in the profession. And with that, I'd like to introduce you and hand off to Mr. Hargrove.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. As as the years go by, it's harder and harder to hear the introduction of myself because I always calculate how many years I've been doing this. And I think I'm in my 32nd year of doing something related to public policy in Sacramento. And in my mind, I'm still 18 years old. So being able to think about being in a position and working in an area for over 30 years is a little bit surreal to me. I apologize for not being in Los Angeles with you today. I have another event today that is in Santa Rosa, California. And as many of you know, getting from Santa Rosa to anywhere else in the state is extremely difficult. But I really appreciate you having me, the Zoom option. And I'm so pleased that I've been invited to come talk with CCDA. We see CCDA as a partner. We have seen CCDA for a partner in many different areas for well over a decade now. And recently, I came into this position at CBPA around the same time that April came into her position at CCDA. And we immediately made a good personal and professional connection and agreed to do everything we can do to help one another and to have our organizations work with one another at a higher level than we have been in the past. And we've been working at a fairly high level in the past. So I really appreciate the partnership with April and with everything that CCDA is doing, because CBPA represents commercial real estate. We are an association of associations. So I'll get into this a little bit, but we represent basically all the companies that own property in California that is private property. So everything from shopping centers, call them lifestyle centers now, to Class A office, to industrial properties. Those are all the policy areas that we are trying to work on and oversee. And access is extremely important to our members. We want to make sure that our retail facilities are accessible. We want to make sure that our employees are able to get into industrial facilities and warehouse facilities. And Class A office has always been on the forefront of a lot of these issues, but there's still issues that our members need to be aware of. And the partnership with CCDA really has helped us service our tenants and the members of the public who come into our facilities better. And I'll get into a little bit more on that. I also, before I get too deep into this, want to recognize that Angela Jamat, prior to April, was a great partner with CBPA and with Rexheim. And in fact, Angela traveled down to our event 3 years ago when Rex was retiring to bring him a special commendation from the state presented on behalf of CCDA. And we really appreciated the fact that she took the time and effort to do that. As well, and I'll get into this, is want to acknowledge one of my board members at CBPA and the current sitting chair of Building Owners and Managers Association, Sarah Ann Shapiro, serves on the CCDA board, and she is an amazing contact to be able to speak both to the commercial real estate folks that I am charged with working with, but also she knows about accessibility issues in a way that really nobody else that I work with know, because she has personal experience with it. And I hope you've all been able to hear her story on that. And then lastly, I just want to recognize Doug Wheely, who served as the vice chair at CCDA for many, many years. He is a small developer in Northern California. He always has accessibility issues and environmental issues at the forefront of his projects. And we really appreciate that CCDA allowed him to serve for almost a decade. And he still serves on my board and is providing us advice and information on our relationship with CCDA and how to push our industry forward in terms of providing access. California Business Properties Association is a association of associations, as well as we have many, many individual companies that are within our membership. But for the purposes of CCDA and this conversation especially, is CBPA tries to be a one-stop shop for all of you at CCDA in terms of being able to make a connection with those in the commercial real estate industry. CBPA is an umbrella group. We're a virtual association in terms of, because in our sector on the commercial real estate side, there are so many different associations that represent specific sectors of the commercial real estate industry that doesn't exist in other areas. So if you're a manufacturer, you really have one association that you're going to belong to, and that's CMTA. If you're a home builder, there's really one association in Sacramento that you're going to belong to, and that's the California Building Industry Association. But if you're on the commercial real estate side, we've made it a little bit more complicated. If you are primarily focused on Class A, Class B, Class C office facilities, you're most likely going to be a member of one of the 8 local BOMAs that are active in the state of California. Now, BOMA doesn't just do Class A office, they also do industrial and retail, but their primary focus is on office. If you do retail, or if you represent shopping centers, or if you are a shopping mall owner or a developer, you're most likely going to belong to ICSC, which stands for the International Council of Shopping Centers. And they're one of our members that we go to for a lot of the retail issues. We go to for the shopping mall issues. If you are primarily an industrial developer or owner of industrial space, you're going to most likely belong to one of the 6 chapters of NAIOP in the state of California. And we bring all of those together under the CBPA umbrella, as well as the Retail Industry Leaders Association, which is the very large retailers. IREM, which IREM typically focuses on your blended use and your mixed use facilities, as well as we have individual companies that are our members. But the way that we work is I'll focus on BOMA, California, because Sarah Ann is the president who's in the room. BOMA, California, again, has 8 local association chapters who we have connected CCDA with several of them for some of the meetings that you've been doing out there. They're a great resource locally. At the Sacramento level, we work with those 8 local associations in what we call BOMA, California. It's a federation and a virtual association to bring the leaders of all those groups together to talk about legislative and regulatory interests. So that is our structure. Again, we're a one-stop shop for April and your staff and all of you on issues related to accessibility and commercial real estate. We don't want you to have to figure out which of the 32 different local associations in the state of California is the best for you to work with on something. We want you to come to me, come to us, because we're going to be able to help navigate a lot of that. And we have some examples of how we've done that over the years. And generally, when you think of CBPA, again, you could think of an umbrella association that represents over 10,000 companies in the state of California that are doing something in the commercial real estate space. I won't make you watch these videos, but we're very proud of them. If you want to go to our website, you can get a sense of CBPA and what we've done during our 50 years as an association. CBPA was formed in the mid-70s because a group of shopping mall owners at the time started seeing that the California government was becoming a little bit more active on regulation of what theretofore was private businesses. So said maybe we should pull ourselves together, organize ourselves, and work on being better represented in Sacramento. And that's how CBPA started. And over the years has grown into the large entity that is now before you. We are the largest coalition of commercial real estate companies and groups in the nation. And we're very proud of that. And on the right, again, is a video I won't make you watch, though I'd love to have you watch it. It's a wonderful video from our current governor that was made for Rex's retirement. And I know many of you knew Rex, and he was a legend in this industry. But he says lots of nice things about Rex. He also says some nice things about me, because that was when I was transitioning in. So I always like to have it here as an option for people to visit our website, because it's kind of cool when the sitting governor says nice things about you. And again, it has been well over a year now since Rex has passed away. But Rex ran this organization for 39 years, and he was key, which I'll get into in a moment, in coordinating the birth of CCDA. This was, I won't say it was solely Rex's brainchild, but Rex was very, very interested in accessibility issues and was the representative of the commercial real estate industry in California. And he spent a lot of time and effort making sure that the bill that created CCDA came together. He spent a lot of time and effort working with CCDA over the years. When I was hired, accessibility issues was one of the few issues that he did not want to give up. He wanted to work on accessibility issues because it was important to him. And so I know many of you may not know that he passed last year. So keep this slide in there because he was a legend, and just want to appropriately recognize his work in this area. CBPA is a generalist in Sacramento because we deal with so many issues that impact the commercial real estate industry. This is the slide that we always use to talk to our members and people in our industry about the depth and the breadth of things that impact the commercial real estate industry. And you'll notice that over here, what makes our top 10 issues that impact our industry is we call it ADA reform. It's really not just ADA reform, it's accessibility issues. And I think that I should change the wording on that as we move forward, because we're very, very interested in the legislature and in the regulatory areas about accessibility issues, how they're impacting our members, how they're impacting our tenants, how they're impacting the folks who are coming into our buildings. And in many cases right now, because there are so many issues happening in the legislature in this space, we do rely on CCDA, on Sarah Ann, who's very plugged into the technical side of this, but also to April and the staff over there, and many of you serving as CCDA consultants and on the board to make sure that we're plugged in on those appropriate issues that are moving forward that we can and should be weighing in on. We have the luxury of being able to jump into issues pretty quickly because I represent private industry. I know that CCDA at times there will be issues that you have to work through your internal processes before you can really weigh in on something, but that doesn't mean you can't send an email to us and say, hey, have you taken a look at this issue yet? We think it's something that's interesting, good, or bad, and we just want to put it on your radar. And April is very, very good about doing that, and we really appreciate that because there's many issues that just get buried in the legislative process that sometimes we might not pick up on without that call from April. This is, I really think, a great slide that shows the partnership that CBPA has had with CCDA over the years. The creation of CCDA was after a number of very frustrating years of dealing with what we called at the time on the business side. I know this is not what we still call them, but at the time they were being referred to as drive-by lawsuits. They were lawsuits that our members were feeling really needed addressing under state law and federal law. And it was getting to a point that was very frustrating for those of us in the private sector side, but as well for many of the advocates. We know many of the advocates were not seeing some of these, I think we now call them high frequency litigants. At the time, they were not giving some of the laws that were on the books a good name, and or they were creating some unnecessary frustration. Part of the call for creating something like CCDA was specifically meant to bring together advocates for the ADA laws, advocates for commercial real estate, and advocates for individuals that were being impacted by either inaccessibility at commercial properties or those that were frustrated about the ways some of the advocates were communicating on these laws in the legislature. And so one of the primary functions of CCDA at the time, at least from our point of view, was that we needed an area to bring together people to talk about these issues and come up with pragmatic and practical solutions to some of the things we were seeing at the time of what we felt were abuses of the ADA laws. But to be fair, I know some of the folks that were on the other side of this did not feel they were abuses at all, but that they were pushing forward civil rights for those who had disabilities. But there was a great chasm between those two points of view, and something like CCDA was needed to bring together those points of view for rational discussions. And I will say, over the years, CCDA has played that role amazingly. There have been some changes over the years in state law that would not have happened were it not for the conversations that were happening between state entities, advocates for commercial real estate, advocates for the ADA laws, by being able to have these rational discussions. I was hired in 2006, and one of the first meetings I went to was prior to CCDA. It was a meeting over a parking bill that was happening in Sacramento. And Rex sent me to that meeting to get a sense and a flavor of the issues that were happening on ADA issues and the law. And again, this was before CCDA. What was supposed to be a 1-hour meeting to talk about parking issues at commercial properties ended up being about a 6-hour meeting. And it was acrimonious. And I walked out of it saying, what the heck did I just sit through? I was very new to a lot of these issues, but I could feel in the room there was a lot of talking past one another. So within 2 years of that meeting, the creation of CCDA was there, and it was exactly to address exactly what I was feeling and the frustration that I'm sure many of you felt at the time. So I don't have the bill number here and everything, but we did sponsor the bill that created CCDA along with the Cal Chamber and the Consumer Attorneys of California, which is, if you know this area of law, you know that Consumer Attorneys of California and the business community are not always on the same side of issues, pushing them together. But I think that shows the frustration of even folks, our friends at the Consumer Attorneys, over what they saw as some of the potential issues that were happening on lawsuits at the time. So that's just a little bit of history on how long we've been working together, and my point of view, again, from being here at the time of the creation, of how great this partnership with CCDA has actually been and how well this bill has worked. Now, sitting in the room in Los Angeles is Sarah Ann Shapiro. And I just want to give a real shout out to Sarah Ann, because the reason why Sarah Ann is sitting on CCDA is because the legislation that I just previously talked about actually gave CBPA the ability to name one of the appointments at CCDA to the governor. Still has to be vetted by the governor, but we get to move forward a name for the governor to consider. And in the history of this relationship, we've now had two appointees to CCDA that have come from our association and have been approved by the governor. Doug Wheely, who I previously mentioned, served for over a decade. And now it's Sarah Ann Shapiro. Now, the reason why Sarah Ann was chosen by CBPA is because previous to her appointment, Sarah Ann was our go-to attorney when a bill would pop up about ADA issues or accessibility issues or a regulation, because she understands these issues like very few people do within our membership. Not only in her 9-to-5 job, or probably for Sarah Ann, it's her 7 to 10 p.m. job. Not only is she dealing with issues on accessibility related to small properties on both sides of the transaction, she also in her life has had some personal experience with dealing with accessibility issues with a member of her family. So when Doug Wheely was tapping out, Sarah Ann really was, there was no other better choice. And the CBPA board was very, very pleased when she threw her hat in the ring to be somebody to be considered. She was chosen, moved forward, and the governor did appoint her. And she has been fantastic about reporting back what's happening at CCDA. And I think taking our message to CCDA about issues that are important to commercial real estate. So thank you very much, Sarah Ann, for your service and for your own accessibility and knowledgeability in this area. Come on. Now, like I said, when April came in as the new executive director at CCDA, I believe that I was one of the initial calls that she made. And it was a great call because it was, I know that we've been working together well in the past, but we want to step our engagement with commercial real estate, and we need your help. And I said, fantastic. We would love to do just that. One of the first things that we were able to do, and it's not pictured here, but I organized a meeting between April, CCDA, Doug Wheely was there. I believe 2 other CCDA representatives were there. And we did a roundtable with the large associations representing business in Sacramento. We all convened downtown and had lunch together. And April was able to give an overview of her vision of moving forward with CCDA. And we were able to talk about some of the frustrations and issues that we saw moving forward with ADA law and potential reform. And that was the first of many meetings that we've been able to have over the last 3 years that I think have been very productive. Another issue that we've done is just working with CCDA on connecting with some of our local associations, as you all have gone out and done listening tours. And I think now we have helped with putting together at least 3 of the listening tours, including, I think we sponsored some coffee and donuts at one of them in San Jose. And that's something we want to continue doing. These listening tours are extremely important for CCDA to get out there and for the constituency of CCDA to understand what it is you do and why it's an important resource, especially to small businesses out there. So we've been very happy and pleased to be part of these listening tours. I think they're brilliant. And I know that you're also trying to move your meetings out and about there. And I do believe that April was able to come by one of our early BOMA meetings that we had, and we really appreciated that. Now, I'm not going to get into detail on legislation because you've all been briefed on all of these, but I just want to give you a sense of some of the partnerships that we have had on legislation over the years. I doubt that all of these are things that CCDA has taken a position on, but I'll tell you that these are all things that I have either reached out to CCDA and said, hey, what is your members think about this? What is the state thinking about this? Or do you have a connection with DGS? Or do you have a connection with the state architect office that you know is looking at one of these bills? So these, again, this is not a comprehensive list, but this is definitely a list of bills that we have worked on that we know is overlapping with the work of CCDA. And I'll tell you one of the things that have popped up recently that we've had somewhat difficulty dealing with because it's just a complicated issue, and that's accessibility for business websites. Now, every single one of my members have websites. There have been several bills over the last 2 years dealing with accessibility on websites. And at this point, it is very, very difficult, as you know, to just go to a web designer and say, hey, make my website ADA compliant, because there has been some confusion over what those standards are. And clarifying them through legislation has been very important. So that has been an area of legislation that is not commercial real estate specific, but something we have had to work on over the years because we want to make sure that our members know what the standards are and have a compliant website. We've also, over the years, dealt with several bills that we have felt have been very, very positive in terms of helping our members be able to comply with ADA law. And just, I think one of the biggest things that has happened legislatively over the years that CCDA has been tasked with doing, that has been one of the biggest help to our members, is a bill that we supported. We might have even been the sponsor of it, that simply tasks CCDA with tracking the lawsuits that are out there on accessibility issues with properties, and then putting together a list, the top 10 list of what the issues are out there that properties are getting sued on. And I have been told over the years that's one of the #1 resources that companies use. They look at that list and they say, oh, okay, it's parking lot issues and striping seem to be very high on the list right now in terms of what properties are getting sued over. We should make sure that our parking lot is appropriately striped, and maybe we need to invest money in that. You know, another issue on there is signage. And again, that's something where as a property owner or a manager, it might not register with you that your signs are out of compliance, or that they've faded too much, or they're the wrong color. So we always tell people, go look at that CCDA top 10 list and make sure that you are in compliance with those things on that list, because it's a good list to walk you through some of the things that you should be paying attention to. So with that, again, I know that was a brief overview. I really want to thank you for your time, for inviting me to be here, for your partnership, and for April's really hard work and motivation on your behalf to make sure that she has developed the relationship with CBPA in a way that we're thankful for, our members appreciate, and we want to continue working with you on more of your initiatives as you move forward. I'd love to take any questions that you have, but otherwise, just want to tell you how much we appreciate you and thank you for having me here and for all the work that CCDA has done since your inception in 2008. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. This is Chair Commissioner Downey. We really appreciate your presentation on that and really sort of rolling through the history of the relationship between the California Business Properties Association and CCDA, our collaborative work over the years, and the ways we can bring the disability community and the California business property owners together in constructive dialogue towards making good progress for the state. Also appreciate your highlighting the collaboration directly with our executive director, April Dawson Rawlings, and our prior executive director. A lot of those things happen in the background that we don't always know about, but it's really wonderful to hear about those collaborations and that important work that gets done there. Just want to open it up to see if there are any questions or comments that members of the commission might wish to offer. Any comments from commissioners here in person?
That means a perfect presentation.
Any comments from commissioners joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Thank you. Are there any comments from members of the public that have joined us here in person?
There's no one in person.
Okay, quickly moving on to our virtual public members that might wish to comment on this item. Hearing none, I presume then you're right, Mr. Hargrove. Done a good job. I don't want that to belittle the importance of this relationship and all the work that you do. And I really look forward to many more years of really effective collaboration towards making really good improvements across the state. So thank you for the time. Thanks for speaking with us, and thank you for taking on this new role forward.
Me too. Thank you very much, and look forward to working with you many years in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that brings us to agenda item number 11, which is legislative bill reporting. Something came up earlier. And for that, we're going to turn to our DGS legislative consultant. And that's really.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Sorry, I was just trying to go down here and stuff like that. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Chair Commissioner Downey. Mallory Michael here, Ledge Consultant at DGS. Good afternoon. I see it's the 12 o'clock hour, lunchtime. I will try to go through this quickly. And thank you for having me again. Always a pleasure to speak. I love talking, so I will try to keep this concise because, again, lunchtime. I am actually going to start with a review of the 2024 ledge session. Then I will move on to looking forward to the 2025 ledge session. In my 2025 recap, like of the future, I will also respond to the question that was posed earlier. Again, I apologize. I had some audio issues. I think April did a wonderful job, but I'll just reiterate. And I'll do that in the second part of my presentation. So basically, I just wanted, the regular legislative session is for 2024 has ended. And so I just wanted to provide an update on the two bills that have been of interest to CCDA that I've been speaking on. And that is AB 1757, as well as AB 3279. So AB 1757 by Assemblymember Kalra. As I previously shared, this bill relates to internet websites and accessibility. From the presentation we just had, this is an area of which has been looked at, I think, multiple sessions. So this bill would have provided that statutory damages based on specific accessibility barrier on an internet website under these provisions shall only be recovered against an entity if the internet website is not accessible. The bill would require the plaintiff to prove either that the plaintiff personally encountered a specific barrier that causes the plaintiff to experience a difference in the plaintiff's access to or use of the internet website as compared to other users because the internet was not accessible, or that the plaintiff was deterred from accessing or using all or part of the internet website or the content of the internet website because the internet website was not accessible. This bill also would establish an affirmative defense to this claim. So this bill was held in Senate Appropriations. That meant that it was held in the Fiscal Committee and did not move forward. So it didn't even make it to the governor's desk. Since this bill died, there is a strong possibility that we may see some version of it reintroduced next year. So we will keep monitoring to see if that pops up again. And AB 3279 by Committee on Judiciary. So this is the annual state bar bill again. And it's like their annual bill that just reauthorizes the fees for licensed attorneys and some policy reforms for the agency. This bill contains a number of items. Most noteworthy, like I kind of mentioned, was the fee increase, the increase of fees for active and inactive attorneys. Two noteworthy provisions for CCDA. One is that this bill deletes a reference to an April 30th report deadline date, as the report is to be included in the annual discipline room report that is now due October 31st. This is just a technical change, so pretty minor. And then the other notable item is that the bill requires, beginning July 1st, 2026 until January 1st, 2030, the state bar to annually report to the legislature on the number of complaints regarding access issues relating to the biannual state bar. And this bill was signed by the governor and is chaptered, so it will become law. So that kind of wraps up the 2024 ledge session. Those were the two bills that we were kind of monitoring. And so I'm going to be moving on to the 2025 ledge session. So as I mentioned, the 2024 session has ended and the legislature has adjourned until December 2nd, 2024. In December, they usually just reconvene for an organizational session, meaning they just get sworn in, take pictures and the like. The desk will be open and bills can be introduced, but we largely will not see members back into the swing of things until January. In the next session, I will continue to monitor bills as they are introduced, flagging bills, of course, of interest to CCDA. And as always, if I miss a bill of interest or there's something that you would like me to keep tabs on and update in these meetings, please let me know, and I could also add that to the list just in case if I miss it. And to answer the previous question, which I think is whether or not we take public positions on bills. So Department of General Services, DGS, does not take public positions on bills without prior authorization. We can offer technical assistance, say the author's office or committee reach out and has a question on technical. So that would basically mean, what are you guys doing now and how would this change that? So we obviously do not give any position on a bill. We just like say this, just very straightforward technical. This is what the bill does. This is what we do. That's the impact. As April had pointed out, any communication with the legislature is usually facilitated by the Office of Ledge Affairs within the Department of DGS. We are the hub for ledge contact, so we just ask that all communications kind of funnel through us and we help facilitate those conversations. Even though we do not take public positions, I do want to emphasize that we do provide confidential bill analyses to the governor's office with a recommendation on action. So feedback we receive from CCDA staff, as well as the commissioners, get taken into consideration when working on the bill analyses. And, there are times when we do get authorization to speak with the author's office to express concerns on bills. So I believe that answered the question. If not, please let me know. And that kind of comes to the end of my presentation. Again, thank you so much for having me. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mallory. This is Chair Commissioner Downey. I'd like to see if there are any comments from members of the commission that are here in person. Hearing none, are there any comments from members of the commission that are joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, Commissioner Dr. Elhesson has her hand raised.
Yes, thank you so much. This is Commissioner El Hassan. I just wanted to ask, when you do your analysis and you get feedback from CCDA, do you based on the feedback that we give you in support, or not support, I know we don't support or we don't oppose, excuse me, any bill, but how I guess what I want to find out is how influential is our input? I should just put it that way.
Yeah, Mallory here. I that's a tough question to answer, I guess, but this is just the process, and I think that kind of helped with how influential. So the feedback that we get through CCDA is taken very seriously, right? Because you are all the experts in this area. You have direct knowledge. We as the ledge staff don't know everything, so we look to you all as the experts in that area. So that largely gets taken into consideration. The bill analysis does move up and it goes to the governor's office. And like I said, there is a recommendation on action, whether that be sign, veto, or whatever the like. And that gets looked at by the governor's office when the governor's determining what action to take on the bill. I can't answer how much weight it actually gets. I don't know to what point exactly you were trying to ask, whether your feedback, how much that gets considered or how much it gets considered by the gov's office. But for us to the ledge office, the CCDA feedback is very important because, like I mentioned, you guys are all the experts in that area. We do not know all that. We don't have that knowledge. And so we do look to you all for that.
Right, and I guess the gist of my intention is that all of us assume different roles to support the overall mission for our commission. And so that's what I wanted, is part of that is, well, I could only speak for myself, is part of that is our influence in being able to support accessibility more so than ever today. That's what I was wondering, like our voice from that perspective. And you did answer, you said, we are quote unquote subject matter experts in regards to understanding that. And I was just wondering how much, weight that considered in regards to how it's perceived at the governor's office in regards to having something move forward. That's what I was thinking. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Downey, are there any other comments from members of the commission? Hearing none, are there any comments from members of the public, perhaps here in person?
Still in the same situation. Nobody's here.
Okay, then moving on to members of the public who might have joined us virtually.
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
All right, well, thank you. Why is it Mallory? Mallory. No, it's not Mallory. Mallory, thank you, Mallory. So thank you so much for that update and addressing the questions and concerns of the commission. So thank you for that legislative bill reporting. And we look forward to hearing from you next time. So with that, we'll move on to agenda item, I believe it's 12. And that's an update on CCDA projects and meetings. And for that, I'll turn it back over to our Executive Director, April Dawson-Rawlings.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. Well, I shared several projects in other agenda items, so I'll just mention the ones that I haven't talked about yet. The first is our website accessibility toolkit. We do have a working draft that our AGPA, Abigail Ridge, has worked on, and we are now seeking technical assistance feedback from different government agencies to just check in and make sure that we're on the right track with the guidance that we're giving to businesses. So the purpose of this toolkit will be to educate businesses on how to make sure their websites are accessible to people with disabilities. Obviously, we're doing that in the absence of Title III regulations. There's guidance from the Justice Department, as well as some strong signals from last summer's Title II regulations that were released. And so this will not be, of course, legal advice. It will be, you know, some best practices and ways to get information on technical assistance to really arm businesses with, you know, what are the best practices, and what are the signals that are out there on the guidance, and how can CCDA be a resource. Also, in the absence of our toolkit, we've actually beefed up our resources tab on our website. If you're a business owner and you would like to know information about how to make your website accessible, we have a ton of information from our partners, such as the Department of Rehabilitation, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of really good, appropriate information that's out there that we've vetted, that we put on our website, that is already available. And you could always, you know, if you're a business owner and you need a copy of any of the technical assistance guidance that's come out recently for Title II entities to kind of get a flavor for what might be coming for Title III, we have, we can give you those copies of those guidance documents and some one-pagers that have been developed by our partners, that have been vetted by the Justice Department and others. So we're definitely excited to be a resource to businesses and excited to bring this toolkit to the world. We also are going to be embarking, and I know I've alluded to this in a couple other meetings, on revamping our key codes. And so one of the things that CCDA does is we have a legal portal where attorneys and law firms submit construction-related alleged disability access violation copies, as well as alleged website violation copies. We're not involved in enforcement and don't take the original complaints, but we receive copies of those and we track them. And then that's what we use as data for our annual report to the state legislature every year, and for our top 10 violation lists. But one of the things that we have been educated on and learning is that it's time for us to make sure that our key codes are accurately reflecting, you know, what the attorneys meant by the nature of the violation, what the claimant and the attorneys are trying to convey to us about what the nature of the complaint is, and make sure that that is using the same wording as the code. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing an overhaul of our key codes. But we're going to be doing it in stages, and we're going to make sure that we're involving our legal stakeholders. And so before we roll things out, we're going to do a focus group of of the people that have been, the firms that have been reaching out to us the most, and who have been partners with us on complying with the law, and asking them, you know, does this make sense? Because what we want to do is, when we overhaul the key codes, we don't want to make it harder to use the portal, and we don't want to have unintended consequences, but we really wanted to just make sure that we can continue to stand by the veracity of our data. One of the things that we realized, for example, a concrete example of why we wanted to look at our codes is when we were developing our accessible parking toolkit, and it was went through the technical vetting process, we saw that we were using different language for exterior paths of travel and accessible routes, and we were switching those up, and so we needed to fix that. And then that made us take a deeper dive into our key code project, that we really needed to look at all the key codes. It doesn't mean that the data we've been collecting is, you know, wildly inaccurate, or that we don't stand by it. We do. It just means that we want to make sure that we're really accurately making sure that we're giving data that shows what the claimant really meant, and also what the attorney is trying to convey, and also how that relates to the world of compliance and using the right terms. And so we'll be working on that. Also, we will be having listening forums in 2025. And this actually ties to our full commission meeting calendar. As you all know, we're going to have a couple full commission meetings next year, and we're going to be going a little bit further across the state. We're going to be going to the Peninsula, to the Fresno area, and to the San Diego area. And so what we're going to do to maximize our resources is we're going to couple our full commission meetings with local listening forums. So we'll be having a listening forum in the Peninsula, Fresno, and San Diego. And we're also working with the city and county of Los Angeles for a listening forum not tied to a full commission meeting, but sometime in 2025, as well as working with the business corridors in the Sacramento region to host a listening forum in Sacramento as well, for Sacramento Yolo. So that is what we've been working on, and happy to take any questions about our current projects. So we're just continuing to live our mission in the community and bringing things out to more of our community members, and making sure that we are getting accurate and great data out there, and working to build bridges with communities. So thank you.
Thank you for the update, Chair Commissioner Downey. It's comforting to hear the report on progress with the web regarding web accessibility. Having heard it as a pressing issue brought to us by the president of California Business Property Owners Association, and then that legislation was then identified by Mallory Michaels. I got her name that time for the record. So it's definitely a pressing issue, and we, as was pointed out, it's showing up in volumes in the complaint tracking that we do. So that's definitely a pressing issue, and a challenge when there's not a strong legal foundation for which to follow, but doing the best we can on behalf of both the disability community and the business owners to make it easier to do and make it easier to find out what to do. And I don't envy you. That's a challenging process, as we always say in architecture. When you go from the physical space to the digital space, it's the Wild West out there, and trying to bring some order to that to get both minimize risk for the business owners, but also to maximize accessibility to the disability community. Any other further comments from members of the commission joining us here in person?
This is Commissioner Shapiro. May I ask a question? As we talk about our projects, I'm curious as to when or if we look at our own top 10 list and discuss the items on it as we contemplate future projects. I know we can only do so much at a time, but I would think we'd want to kind of keep the chute full. So is there a point at which we, during our year, look at that top 10 list and talk about what other projects we should put in our chute?
Yes, part of what we do when we're deciding where to go for listening forums is we look at where the violations are happening. So that's why we're making more investments down south this in 2025. But I think you might be asking, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, about whether the commission sits and looks at it, looks at the top 10. I know at the staff level we do, and a lot of what, like the APC, for example, the accessible parking campaign, it came out of legislation that was influenced by our top 10 about parking. So a lot of how we decide our projects comes from, discussions like these, and also when we're looking at where to divide our resources, we look at the staff level, we're always looking at the top 10. Like, so if the commission says, we want to make sure that, all Class A buildings are accessible, and we need to, and this is coming up as an issue, then the staff will say, okay, this looks like people are being sued for that in, San Fernando Valley. Let's go to San Fernando Valley. Let's do a conversation with them. So we're very proactive in that way. But happy to hear suggestions in these meetings too, or if there's a specific ask to drill down deeper, we can do that. Just wanted to assure you that is how we're considering where to put our resources.
Thank you. I was just wondering if we as a commission ever actually see that list or engage in that conversation, maybe at the first meeting of the year or at some other time.
We usually talk about the annual report at least once a year, but I think that's a really good point that you're making, to make sure that we don't just gloss over the top 10. So I will make sure that we put a note that we should do that, that we should be intentional about that.
Thank you.
As Chair Commissioner Downey, it does occur to me that in the past we have had more regular reporting out on those updates on those top 10 violations, and it is important information for us to see, hear, track, and it has influenced the commissioners' urgency towards particular issues. So it is, it's always there, it's always available, but it is important information to bring to put a little sunshine on during our hearings.
This is April. One idea I could also do is I could include that in the operational report too, is I used to do that at other places that I've done executive director reports, I've had a program report that, so instead of talking about how many people we gave iPads to, I could talk about the top 10. Yeah, I can adapt that.
Thank you. This is Chair Commissioner Downing. Any other comments from members of the commission that are joining us here in person?
This is Commissioner Lovich. I just wanted some clarification. And what I think I heard is that we're going to start pairing up commission hearings and listening forums in the coming year. And I heard San Francisco Peninsula, Fresno, and San Diego. Will it be in that order as listed in our calendar? Or is it still TBD?
It will be Peninsula, Fresno, and San Diego. No,
It's gonna go.
ask Gabby. I was like, no.
March will be in the peninsula, and then June will be in San Diego, and then October will be Fresno.
I flipped it. I knew I flipped it. She's got it. Thank you. Yes.
Are there any comments from members of the commission that are joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Thank you. Have any members of the public join us here in person?
Still none.
Okay. Any members of the public that have joined us virtually that would like to address this item?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be none.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that brings us down to agenda item number 13. Sure. Next full commission hearing, which is actually I'll turn it back over to Dawson Rollins.
And let's see if I wrote it down. We just passed the calendar. So in March, we're going to be on the peninsula in Burlingame, California. March 26th. And I'm currently working with local partners to put together a listening forum, and I'll be talking to Commissioner Dr. Prafatsa. She's not here today, so I don't want to put her on the spot, but I'll be talking to her since she is in that area about the potential for her involvement in that listening forum. And then we're also going to be, by then, we'll have the scaffolding complete for our strategic plan, and knock on wood, we're going to have the consultant in place, and we will be able to make sure that the plan for the first meeting of the year will also be hopefully to introduce you all to the consultants and to talk about our work toward completing our next strategic plan. So those will be the biggest things that we're working on, as well as all of the updates to the projects I just mentioned as well. So stay tuned. Come on March 26th to the peninsula for our listening forum / hearing.
SF Weston.
At the SF Weston.
Relaying of information.
It's going to be amazing.
This is Commissioner Lovich again, and the topic of the listening forum is still determined.
Well, we've been doing general topics. We always have, and this is also subject to change because we try to have the community tell us what they want. But what we've heard strongly is that the people we've reached out to, they really like the training component. They really like bringing the local businesses and the chambers in, and then engaging with the Independent Living Center and others. So I'll be reaching out to CID, which is the Independent Living Center in the peninsula, and also talking with Commissioner Dr. Prafatsa when she gets back from her trip about who else we should be reaching out to. But we always want to make sure that it reflects what the businesses and the disability community wants to talk about. But I have noticed that they like our model. The feedback I'm getting is they like our model.
Are there any other comments from members of the commission, either in person or virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there is no indication virtually.
Any comments from members of the public, here in person or virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there's no indication.
Okay, before we move on from this, so we haven't really coordinated this. How should we?
Well, before we talk about future agenda items, our operations manager, Phil McFall, has a bittersweet announcement that he's asked me to make on his behalf, and then he's going to say words. Our operations manager, Phil McFall, has accepted a great opportunity outside of the CCDA, and his last day with us will be on November 8th. This was not a mutual decision, and on my end, and I'm sad to see him go. But I'm gonna embarrass him for a second and just say that it's been a pleasure working with you over these last, almost 2.5 years, and you were the first person that I met on the CCDA staff, and you made an effort we had to have a lot of clandestine conversations because it took about a couple months for me to get appointed. But I remember one of the first times we met, you introduced yourself, you told me about some emerging issues I needed to know about, and you really cared about what my first day was going to be like. And you even took your cell phone around my office to make sure it was accessible, and you ordered things. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most about you is that you took over leadership in coordination with Chair Downey and others during a leadership vacuum after our longtime executive director left. So you took on a lot of those duties. You worked with Abby and others. You had to really rally the staff together, and you had to be that leader. You always come up with really great cheers for the staff during our huddles, which they all know my cheers suck, so I gotta up my game. So that's gonna really embarrass me, and I don't appreciate that. But I really, I think also the thing that impresses me too, just the coaching, and also the fact that when Phil meets with a person, he really cares about them, and he always leads with empathy and kindness. He's one of the kindest people I've ever worked with, and I'm gonna miss you. And I know that our team is really gonna miss you as well. And before I get into I guess I'll just say really quickly that I don't want to say we're gonna replace you, because that's not possible, but we are gonna work to post that position and all those particulars, and the staff are gonna rally together to do what we need to do internally, and we have a great team that's gonna do that. But I wanted to see if you had a few words. He's the one that wanted me to set it up, so I'm setting it up. So Phil, say words.
Funny, thank you all. I just think it's weird to announce it yourself. I don't know. That's just yes, I accepted a position with the state controller's office, so I'll be leaving. It'll be my last day. And I appreciate the opportunity. First of all, Angela was the one who believed in me to come in here and be the operations manager, and it was a coming into a department. I mean, I'd led before and been a manager before, but I'd never managed on a commission, and that's where you guys all come in, and it was just great learning from the commissioners and the staff that was there at that time. They did a good job of bringing me on, but then also every commissioner on this commission has been very generous with their time and very generous with their knowledge, and I've had some pretty in-depth conversations with a lot of you, and that's invaluable to me, just learning. I'm always trying to pick up and learn from other people, and I really appreciate everything, and all of you bring something beautiful to this commission. So I mean, hats off to you all. And like I said, it's not been easy, but it's been great for me to sit and learn from you all. And Commissioner Downey, with your leadership, it's been fantastic. You've always been open with me and honest, and we've had good conversation, and you've been able to impart knowledge on me, and just sometimes just listening to you talk, and everybody, it's been great. That vacuum, the time in between Angela and April was that kind of, what do we do now? Because Angela just said, hey, I'm leaving, by the way, I'm out of here. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm still trying to learn this thing, but okay. And with Commissioner Paravagna at that point, he was very instrumental in guiding me, and then Commissioner Downey, and And, but it was a family effort, everybody. And then, April came on, and I've always appreciated April from day one, has been really, involved in what we do. And she's really passionate about this commission and moving it forward. And she's gotten on my case a couple of times, but it was good stuff. And not, I'm not as scared anymore. But no, she's always been somebody I can, April is the epitome of open door policy. Sometimes I come around the corner talking as I'm walking. I don't even ask if she's on a call or anything, but she's more than happy to sit and speak with me. And we've worked through and hashed out a lot of things, just being able to have just real good and open, honest conversation. I appreciate that. And like I said, the commission and, most importantly, the staff. I think the staff that's been around, I mean, I know you all know, but we have a fantastic staff at CCDA, and they are committed not only to, they are committed to the vision of the vision of the commission. They want to see things move forward, and they're very, very, very passionate about making sure that things like these events and stuff get pulled off as best we can with, the resources that we have. So, shout out to the staff, and, Abby's been my right-hand person, and she's like my.
This is Commissioner Holloway. I know this is a great opportunity for you, but I'm disappointed and sad. I mean, you have big shoes to fill, but you have been an institution here as long as I can remember. You've been just hard worker, great with everybody, really put the maximum effort forward. And it's like, for me, it feels like a family member's leaving and moving on, going to college or something. So it's just, I know it's a great opportunity, but that's hard. We're gonna miss you a lot.
I miss you making me laugh every time.
This Commissioner Woolridge, I'm just gonna chime in and say the same thing. There's the staff, again, is awesome. The staff is really, I mean, you folks behind the scenes have just been fantastic. And Phil being a great leader. It's been selfishly, I'm sad, but I want to be happy for you and want the best for you, because you are top of the line individual and human being. And my only criteria to replace you is they have to be a Dodger fan.
I agree.
Well.
Absolutely, appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, go Dodgers.
Sorry to make light of it. That's
Yeah.
It's gonna be there's gonna be some tough shoes to fill. It's gonna be hard getting somebody to even come halfway to
I'm really sad about leaving it. When I got the announcement, it was kind of a very, like bittersweet, I guess is the best way to put it. It's, happy that the opportunity came about, but, I was listening to April just now going through all the things that are coming up 2025. And it's like, gosh, those are like a lot of those things I've already been involved in. And it's just like, I really want to be part of that. But, unfortunately, and there'll be another operations manager who will come in and do, a fantastic job as well. So.
Well, this is Chair Commissioner Downey. I just want to say it's like and what you shared with us, you focused in on all that you learned. But from our side, it's from all we benefited. So you were here to sort of take care of things and keep everything together, as when our prior executive director left. And the continuity, it seemed to me that the staff was held together well. Everybody was still working together without that leadership, and most importantly, it was keyed up, fired up, and ready to go when April came in. So you might have been learning a lot on the job, but we benefited tremendously from your leadership over that time, and that level of learning wasn't evident on our side. It was delivery. You delivered the goods. So thanks for a job well done.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
This is Commissioner Shapiro. I'd like to say that, yes, I'm going to be sad as everyone else. You have been one of the kindest and most attentive gentlemen in the work that you have done for us. Your just automatic, intentional, above and beyond to make sure that everything that you can possibly make go well goes well. It is so appreciated, and you do it in such an understated manner that I think often we have to look very carefully to see the incredible work and job that you've been doing. Now, of course, occasionally we're going to want to give the black eye to some of the controller people. They're just going to stare at locally for having taken you. But I could not be more thrilled for you to have that opportunity. And luckily, since books don't actually kill, I won't get in trouble for giving them a double eye. That they got someone that is so incredible. All I can do is hope that the opportunity works out exactly as you want it to or better, and hope that they appreciate you as much as we have appreciated everything you have done for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate those words.
This is Commissioner Jacqueline Jackson. Phil, I am shocked, but I am so happy for you that you're moving up and moving into other positions, I pray, of leadership. You have awesome knowledge, skills, and abilities, and you're going to be missed. But I'm just so happy for you. Thank you for all you do, and thank you.
Commissioner Jackson, and I'll miss our conversations. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, especially those in the car.
This is Commissioner.
And this is Commissioner. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Commissioner Ramirez.
No, just really quickly, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. This is great news for you. Having to interact with you has a really a great experience. So I'm really excited for you to be moving into the controller's office. It's also one of my favorite spaces. So I'm really looking forward to see how you grow within that space and contribute to that particular arena.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez.
And I do know that we have big shoes to fill, because I think we talked about that last time that we saw each other in person. And so, and so I'm really excited for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated.
This is Commissioner Alhassan, and I just ditto the comments of my other fellow commissioners, but I'd also like to note that I did work with you closely when we were doing the search for our executive director, and I did appreciate your support and leadership at that time as we were moving forward. And I know you're going to be a great asset and value to your new endeavors and moving forward. And I just like to say, this is a great time. You're making the right career choices. Now's the time to excel in your career, and I just wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Commissioner Conway, Bill, thank you so much. I won't take too much time to echo what everyone has already said to you, but first, congratulations to the controllers, as they're incredibly lucky to have you. Congratulations to you. I'm sure it's a great opportunity to lead this role. And as I shared with you in a break just before, I've recently taken over in another role in my job, staffing a Bagley Connect entity, and I now have a much greater, I already appreciated the hard work you do, but these meetings go so seamlessly. It's frankly shocking. And it really speaks to your leadership and April's, of course, but the way you work with the whole staff and honor everyone is just incredible. So thank you. And best of luck to you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a group effort, it's the staff, and happy to be part of it. And like I said, I'm just kind of jealous of all the things that are going to happen in 2025, but hey, we get the staff to do it. And like I said, another operations manager will come in to fill in, and we'll fill in the staff appropriately and continue on the mission. I'm still always CCDA at heart. And of all the state agencies, I've been in 2 other state agencies, and this one has been by far the most enduring. And again, hats off to the commissioners and all the things that you guys bring to the table. It's outstanding. This is a great group to lead this effort. So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any other comments from members of the commission? Or I'll open it up now to members of the public, either in person or virtually.
Chair
just wanna
Commissioner.
say, this is Abigail Ridge, CCDA staff. Just on behalf of CCDA staff, just want to say how much we are going to miss you and how much we truly appreciate all your leadership and guidance throughout the years. We are truly, truly blessed to have you.
Thank you, Reverend. Appreciate you.
There's no other comments in person.
This
Wow.
is Presley. I wanted to say also, Phil, thank you for being a amazing manager over the time of CCDA. You also hired me, and I have learned a lot in the time that you have been my manager. So I appreciate it. And then with that, Chair Commissioner Downey, there is no indication virtual.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And thank you again, Phil, for all that you've done for the commission. All right, well, appreciate you. Thank you. All right, everybody. And so speaking of moving on to the future, it's time for agenda item number 14, I believe it is, future agenda items. Are there any suggestions of future agenda items that can be put forward by members of the commission here in person? Hearing none, any suggestions of future agenda items from members of the commission joining us virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Okay, any comments from members of the public in person or virtually?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication.
Okay, brings us to agenda item number 15, the tough one. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved by Commissioner Holloway.
Commissioner Shapiro, second.
Okay, thank you. We have so moved, and can we have the roll call vote one last time? The rest.
Yes, Chair Commissioner Downey, I will start. Commissioner Downey,
Aye.
Commissioner Holloway, Commissioner Holloway,
Aye.
Commissioner Dillard, Commissioner Dr. Alhessan,
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson,
Aye.
Commissioner Lillibridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Shapiro.
Aye.
Okay, Chair Commissioner Downey, I will pass it back to you. The motion carries.
Thank you. With that, this meeting of the California Commission of Disability Access is adjourned. Go forth and prosper.
Happy holidays to everybody.